we had that element of fear, whether it was fear of getting in trouble or fear of disappointing or fear of failing, whereas our kids don't have that. And I feel like that's why I'm even harder on them, because I'm like, you're not even scared walking through that door with like a D? I would be peeing my pants if I had a D and I had to go tell my mom.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Love S&D podcast. I am Dipti, your host, and I'm welcomed by my two lovely sister moms, Sheena and Nina. Say hi, ladies.
Hi.
Hi, guys.
All right. Today we are talking about something you probably heard us mention in our last podcast, which is helicopter mom versus hands-off mom versus me, who fits right nicely in the middle, as always.
Yep.
But I feel like as Indian moms, we are on both sides of this spectrum, right? At any given time, we want our kids to be independent, but we don't want them to be too independent. We want them to fail, but then we don't want them to really fail. We're really never going to get it right, right?
I don't think it's possible to get it right. It's just trial and error day after day. Nina is my ultimate therapist when it comes to that, because I'll just say it out loud. I am the helicopter mom. That is me.
Absolutely.
I am the problem.
Yeah. So just to set the stage here, as Sheena said, she is the textbook helicopter mom. If you've seen an email go out to a teacher, Sheena was behind that email.
That's me.
Nina, on the other hand, is more of, oh, they have homework, they'll figure it out. They didn't do well, they'll figure it out. She lets the girls do what they need to do.
Figure it out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then I'm somewhere in the middle where when it comes to school, I'm more of, you guys will end up getting there. What cripples me the most is social stuff. So, when they run into difficult people or difficult situations, and that's when I'm like, I need to be there and I need to fix situations and talk to other kids and things like that. And so, yeah, I think I kind of teeter on both sides of this, but let's talk about first how it's been growing up. Sheena.
Why are you laughing?
I always laugh because when we talk about grades, you are wild.
I turned out perfectly fine. The thing is, just to segue into your growing up, we grew up without helicopter parents. Like, nobody was asking what our grades were. Nobody was like, what homework do you have due? Nobody was checking our schedule in our Google Classrooms. We didn't have that. Mom and Dad were busy working. They didn't have time. We had to figure it out. And that was my version of figuring it out.
I mean, you and I, we were not kids who got good grades.
No.
I mean, I tell my kids all the time, I was an ABC student. Nina, on the other hand, was a straight A, perfect GPA, had to do everything just right, would go to her teachers and tell them that they were wrong and she deserves the A. That was her. Right?
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't confrontational because I got the A, so I didn't have to tell any of my teachers I needed the A. I studied a lot. That's what I did.
Yeah, I remember you studying, though. I think it just came to you naturally.
No, I studied a lot. I would take notes and then rewrite the notes and then rewrite the notes and then highlight the notes and then rewrite the notes and highlight the notes.
Yes, she did study. It was part of who she was. Like, me and you never had that motivation, and it showed in our grades. But it was fine. Like, I feel like sometimes I was actually able to talk myself into getting a better grade or why I deserved it, but that was just who I was. Like, I wasn't a dedicated student, but I was like, hey, Miss So-and-so, like, I really tried. This is why I think this answer is the right answer. And sometimes it worked. Most of the time it did not work.
Yeah.
But I tried. That was me as a person, but I'm 100% a different parent. 1,000% a different parent.
Yeah, because after experiencing that in childhood, now Sheena's like, you must get A's. You have to have all A's. And I'm like, listen, C's get degrees. It's all good. Like, let's just keep it moving.
Yes, ma'am. Let me ask you this, because growing up, you're right. We didn't tell mom and dad any of our grades, right? They had these expectations, and unless we were failing, they were hands off completely. But there was this part of us that felt like if I don't do well, mom and dad are going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
Or if I don't do well, it's going to be a bad reflection of them. Right. And I feel like that's not what our kids are growing up with anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I 100% agree. We had that element of fear, whether it was fear of getting in trouble or fear of disappointing or fear of failing, whereas our kids don't have that. And I feel like that's why I'm even harder on them, because I'm like, you're not even scared walking through that door with like a D? I would be peeing my pants if I had a D and I had to go tell my mom. We had to use
Sign my paper. Yeah.
we used to have to sign our papers. They don't even have that. We get the Power School notification, like D. I'm like, excuse me? We're Indian. We don't get Ds.
You know before they even come home that they got a D.
Exactly.
So even for us, like
Helicopter.
Yeah. Power School
you
is the
look at
worst
that?
thing.
No, I don't even know the login. I don't even have a login.
Power School is the worst invention ever to have made, because
For helicopter parents.
for me, yes, as a helicopter parent,
Asterisks.
I know everything. Like, it's so much so that Nina had to make me log out and turn off all notifications on that app because I was losing my mind. I was furious and screaming at them before they even walked into the door. So by the time they walked into the door, my ears were on fire and I'm screaming like a lunatic. There wasn't even a chance to be like, hey, mom, I got a bad grade. I, made a mistake. I know how I'm going to fix it. There was no time for that. I was fuming already. And so I did turn off the notifications, just so you know. Power School, leave me alone.
How do you deal with the girls' grades? If they've ever come back with a bad grade?
I don't deal with it. That's a them problem, not a me problem.
You literally, do you even know?
If they need help, they will ask us. So if they bomb a test, which I don't know if they have or haven't, they will come home and we'll say, hey, do you need help? How's school going? Good. Okay, cool. Just keep us in the loop.
Yeah.
What about teachers? Don't they reach out and say, hey, your kid got this bad grade. Don't worry about it. We're working on it. Nothing like that?
No. So I think in Sheena's school, they even through middle school have parent-teacher conferences.
Yeah.
We don't have any of that.
Even in high school, we have them.
We have nothing.
God.
See, they're like creating monsters in your town. Like they want you to be crazy.
You don't have parent-teacher conferences? Really?
No, nothing. After elementary, nothing. I like it because that's how it was for us growing up. And I think we're a reflection of how we grew up, right? I remember I was just like, get your shit done, get good grades, and just keep going. Like, do your dance thing, do grades.
Yeah.
And then, there was no like, what if. No, you just did your things and then kept going without like mom or dad on top of us. They weren't like, oh, did you get into this AP class? Are you on this honors track? Are you going to get into the high school honors math to advanced blah, blah, blah. We didn't have that. It was on us. If we wanted honors math, we were going to work to get into honors math. I did summer classes for math. You guys never did summer classes for math. Exactly. So like, it was just part of like that goal setting. So like, if you knew where you were going, you just had to figure out how to get there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. We actually, I don't think that we knew what you were going through because we were in a completely different phase of school, even in a whole different school. Nina and I were together at least. So I kind of always had Nina's A's to compare my D's and F's to. Like, you know what? Forget it. Quit. But you didn't have that comparison at all to Nina. I think your comparison was by yourself. It wasn't like mom was like, she just took this class and she got an A. And you literally.
I think that the beauty of being the third kid is that they've been through everything with you guys. So by the time I come around, it's kind of like if she's good, she's good. If she's not, she'll come to us, which was the case, right? I remember that I did get a D in one of my classes and it came back on the report card and mom and dad never saw it. And I just moved on with my life. I didn't tell anybody and I figured it out. I just, I worked really hard the next semester or the next marking period in that class and made sure that D just kind of got lost in the wind. But for me now, if Dia gets a D, he actually did get a D in one class, in one test. And he didn't tell me. We found out at the parent-teacher conference. And part of me wanted to be like, you know what? Good for him. Good that he didn't feel the need to have to tell me. And exactly. And she was like, this is very uncharacteristic of him. And he brought his grades back up the very next time. So I was like, you know what? Let it be. I did
You didn't
mention it
flip
to him.
out?
I did not
I don't even know
flip
who you
out
are
at
anymore.
all.
I literally don't know who you are anymore.
I think my big thing is I want them to be able to communicate with their teachers, right? So if they do get a bad grade, go and ask your teacher why you got the bad grade. Go defend your answer. Or if you really think you just messed up, be like, I'm sorry. Is there any opportunity for, extra credit or whatever to bring my grade up? I think at this early age, he's in fourth grade, right?
Yeah.
At this age, if I'm teaching him to do that, by the time he gets to high school, he's going to be like such, where if he gets a 98, he's going to bring it up to 100, no matter what happens, because he's going to talk his way to the 100.
Yeah. But if you think about it, right, now that we're older, we did college, we have jobs and all of that. Did those like little moments of getting a bad grade matter? No. But the reaction that they get to that bad grade is what they'll remember.
Yes.
So was it my mom flipped the hell out and it was like crippling and I then just gave up? Or was it that, all right, my parents said, okay, if you need help, let me know. And then I just figured it out. So there's two ways to look at it. And I think that it's more important to remember to react the way they're going to remember or internalize it versus reacting to what that actual letter or outcome is. Because unless they're like at risk of hurting themselves or someone else, I really don't think all of these like little grades matter. I really don't. It's like more look at the overall skill set that they're gaining versus like somebody's subjective opinion. I don't know.
Yeah. I feel like
I
even
agree.
with growth, for me, I've let go of the grades thing. It's not about the grades for me anymore. I've come to the reality that all my children are not going to be straight A students. That's perfectly fine. But it's about the work ethic, the dedication, the responsibility, accountability. That's what's really important to me. And when that's not taken into consideration, now is when I flip out. It's like, you got a D? Cool. Like, it is what it is. You made a mistake, like you said. Let's figure it out. Or you figure it out. But I'm a more, let's figure out what we're going to do. And I try my level best to be like, you know what? You figure it out. I'm like, nope. I'm going to figure it out for you. And then we are going to figure out how to move forward. I don't even know. It's like a mental block for me. It's like such a mental, in my mind, I want to say what you want me to say, like figure it out. But actually out of my mouth comes out, let's both of us figure it out. I will talk to your teacher.
Jesus.
So it's a problem. But that's like academically. I feel like socially, I'm less like that. And I think socially, Nina's like less like that. And Dipti is the one that's socially harping on them as they grow.
Absolutely. So that kind of brings us to this whole social dilemma, right?
Yeah.
Where, again, my kids are so young, but I think in my mind, again, we've all been raised as don't make us look bad. What would this person say if they found you doing this? Or, those kinds of, I'm going to say guilt trips, but it's almost like, listen, we're a very visible family in our community, right? We had the store. People knew who mom and dad were. By extension, they knew who we were. And so there was that whole, make sure you,
have a certain image or keep a certain image of like being
exactly
proper and respectful and sophisticated.
Yeah. So how much of that are you doing in your parenting?
I mean, for me, knock on wood, the boys are socially fine. Each of them are very different socially, but they're typical teenagers. I have no problems with their behavior, but it's just about communication, which I think their generation as a whole lacks because of all this social media and just being on their phones all day. So I and Sammy constantly remind them to make eye contact, have conversations. If somebody's talking to you, don't answer them while your face is in a phone, things like that. However, I will say, which is where you are right now, Dip, is like when they were younger, we were always worried about tantrums. We were always worried about asking for like ridiculous things like Sai and I will never forget this. We were at a birthday party and he was probably 4 years old. The cake was a vanilla ice cream cake and he legitimately threw the biggest tantrum and lost his marbles, crying, screaming on the floor because he wanted a chocolate ice cream cake. And I was mortified. I was like, oh my God, I'm raising a monster. But they grow out of those things. So I think it's okay that you're a little more helicoptery in social aspects because they're still little. They don't even know. Now he would never do that because he knows that's absolutely ridiculous. What about the girls?
I think that out of the three girls, the oldest and youngest, shocker, are fine socially. And then the middle one's just like me, shocker.
You were wild growing up socially, now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it.
Like super social? Because I don't remember you guys in social settings at all.
Super antisocial.
Like
completely antisocial.
I was complete tomboy. I was just in my own little, I'm going to wear Jenkos and do my thing and be emo, as kids call it these days. And I couldn't find where I fit in, so I just chose not to fit in. I was like, all right, I don't need people. And so luckily, Mom would just schlep me with Sheena and be like, go do whatever she's doing because she has people and you need to get out of my face. But I think that like now realizing how that really backfired at that time, because I really just didn't have an identity, we really encouraged Neva, who's the middle one, how to engage with her peers. So we try to like encourage her to have her own crew and hang out with her friends. And I think she really turned the corner in 6th grade. She found her people and like now she's thriving, thank God. But yeah, I think the oldest and youngest, it just comes naturally to them, like, you know.
But how were you involved in that? Like, were you like helicopter-y, like make friends?
You know, I think, well, so I think that the only thing we helicoptered was I know this sounds really mean, but like the quality of friendship.
Yeah.
So like if they became
I don't
friendly.
think that's mean. I think that's actually necessary this day and age.
Yeah.
Like you are who your friends are, unfortunately.
Yeah. And so Naya had one friend who would be like, why is your younger sister always with us? We should just leave her there and we should just run away on the side. And I'm like,
give me her name
and
social security number.
I'm like, that's me. So, you know, so then you have to explain like, Naya, you know, friends come and go, but she's your sister. You're there to protect her. You don't ditch her because somebody's making her feel bad or making you feel like you have extra baggage. No, these are your people. Your sisters are there for life. So that's what you have to help them navigate, making the choice. So growing up, it was kind of like, you know, we always had that guilt factor. So now the way we tell the girls is if Dadaji or Baji or Ba or Bapuji ever saw that on the front page news, the choice you made, how would it make them feel?
Yeah.
So that's how we freeze it now. It's kind of like, how would they feel knowing that this is what you did or this is a choice you made? And if you feel proud of it, go for it. Dude, you do you know?
Yeah.
But if you feel that you would be embarrassed or
ashamed
or mortified, then don't do it. That's probably not the right choice.
Yeah. I think that's really hard to instill in the kids, especially the whole sibling dynamic. Leah and Callan shared a bus for 2 years, I want to say, and Leah wouldn't sit with Callan on the bus, and Callan expected that out of him. He's my big brother. Of course, he's going to sit with me if I don't have anybody else to sit with. But Leah wanted to sit with his friends, and I'm not even going to say that I dealt with it because I didn't know how to approach that situation. I was like, if Leah wants to sit with his friends, you're just going to have to deal with it. For Leah, I was like, you know, it does suck to sit on the bus by yourself. And sometimes if you see that your little brother's sad, that maybe you should sit with him. And in turn, he would say to me, but I want to sit with my friends, which is totally valid. I don't want him to have to sacrifice his own friendships and relationships because he's too busy looking after his little brother. But on the other hand, his little brother is this quirky middle child who doesn't easily make friends. So like, what expectation is reasonable for me to have for both boys, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the right thing to do, to let them figure it out. Like Callan will have to just say, okay, my brother wants to sit with his friends. I'll either try to find a friend to sit with or I'll just sit by myself. I mean, through experience, I can say that it is not beneficial. I'm kidding. Actually, I think I did that to Nina all the time. Like,
all the time.
Why do you have to come?
All the time. All the time.
I'm like,
I get it.
That's so funny because my whole childhood, you guys were like best friends and didn't do anything without each other and like were each other's safety blanket. And then here I was like, Mommy, can you be my safety blanket?
Can you come on the bus with me?
Literally. I remember fearing the bus because nobody was on the bus with me.
Funny.
You know, that's really interesting because now I'm thinking about the twins. Like, even till this day, I'm like, if one of you are going out, can you just like, take your other brother with you? And for years, it was like, sure, I'll take Sean, or sure, I'll take Shaylin with me. Now they're like, I'm like, hey, can you take the other one with you? And the other one's like, I don't want to go. Like, I don't want to go hang out with him and his friends because they have totally different friends. They choose not to go or they choose to go on their own. I'm not forcing
Yeah.
anybody to do anything. Like, whereas I don't think that happened for me and Neen. Like, if I was going out, I was only allowed to go out if Nina came with me.
You know why? Because I was like
They're
the
responsible.
gatekeeper. Yeah,
I
I
know
was like,
that.
I had to tattletale if
I
anything
know.
happened.
I
Yeah.
know. I was there.
Yeah.
God, for the love of God, let me live a little. But I get it. Like that's how it's gonna be for Callan and Dia a little bit
Yeah.
growing up, you know?
Yeah.
But they're so different. Like
So different.
different. Like
Completely
I
night
feel
and
like
day.
Callan's not gonna want to hang out with Dia when they're a little bit older. Like he's gonna be like, that's not my jam.
I think that independence that each of these middle children have, I know Zion we call a middle child, even though he's the youngest, but he has the middle child tendencies. I love that they're independent, but also it like cripples me quite a bit when they try to be too independent. And I know this is very far from your reality right now, but right now they just learned how to ride bikes. And so last summer. And so now they want to ride their bikes by themselves around our circle, right? We have like a huge circle and I can't let them go by themselves. I literally like, I want to every single day. I'm like, I'm going to do it today. I'm going to do it today. And you know what? Such is no better. Okay. He doesn't let them either. But for that reason, we got them things like watches where we can track them or talk to them and make sure everything is okay. But that, and we've learned this through lots of therapy, is that is not only creating anxiety in us, but it's actually creating anxiety in them. In that, like, if we're not looking after them or tracking them or being able to communicate with them at any given moment of any given day, they panic. They have no idea what to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that your therapist is right on with that. Nina's gonna agree.
She's like, I'm gonna hand this one over to Nina.
I'm like, yep, that sounds right.
Well, I think that the bigger thing is addressing why you're not letting them do that. We let Nessa go walk to her friend's house down the block. I mean, it's like 7 doors down. It's not a big deal. Again, they're going to go to college, probably not live at home. If they can't get from their dorm to class without this severe, debilitating anxiety,
Yeah.
what the hell are you going to do? Are you going to become their Uber driver to and fro? No.
Yeah.
You know, you have to start letting them trust the world and knowing what to do in a sticky situation, right?
So are you super hands-off when it even comes to them doing things and going places on their own?
Yeah. Naya's gone to the mall with her friends. She's gone to a Sky Zone with her friends. One parent drops them, one parent picks them up. Yeah.
I think that comes with age.
Stay there?
Yeah. And
No
there's a lot
parents
of safety stuff that you can teach them. Like, don't go
Yeah.
anywhere by yourself. You always go in pairs, always have your phone on you. But it's not like we're going to come and hover and watch you from the corner like Sheena would do, like park outside and wait.
I've gotten
like
much
peeking
better.
through the window. Like,
No, I did do that this past summer. Damn it.
see? She
But
created
that was the first big party. I was like, this is making me really uncomfortable. I was like, watch me
Party with
waiting in
who?
the car.
What
was
does
like
a party for 13-year-olds mean?
It was like it was a graduation party. There were parents in the house, but there were tons of kids at the graduation party, and they were hanging out outside. There was alcohol. There was stuff. Like, again, like we raise our children to be responsible, right? So that is what it is. But the helicopter me was nervous. I was like, shit, what if they are offered a drink and they're like, through peer pressure, like, okay, I'll try it. I would have a complete meltdown. And I know it's not that serious, but it's serious.
But here's the thing, right? So let's take an example. What if they did try it?
So if they did, in hindsight, in my mind, I would love for them to try it with us. And I want them to feel comfortable to be like, hey, mom, I want to try a beer or a seltzer or whatever. Sometimes I feel like they are a little too comfortable. Like the other night, I was like, I think I'll just pour me a glass of wine. After the Eagles game, I was like, oh my God, what just happened? I was like, I just need a drink. And Shaylin's like, oh my God, I need a drink. I'm like, excuse me?
See what? Freaking love that kid.
And so in my mind, I was like, should I have been like, yeah, what do you want? And I'm like, oh, are you crazy? I'm not gonna make it. I'm not gonna make it. I'm not naive to think that they won't try it before they're 21. Obviously they will. We all did. I just, in my mind, I want it to be such a responsible decision and process. And sometimes I fear that it might not be. Like, it might just have a couple seltzers with their friends, get too drunk in their version of drunk and like throw up and like, again, right? Not the end of the world, but they'll learn. I know.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. You want them to do all of that while they're still coming home.
Yeah.
Let them fail, let them come home and figure it out. It's better that they have that opportunity to wake up and you're there versus in college where their friends are there and God knows what
there.
that looks like, right?
And they'll call Dipti cocky. You need help.
A sticky situation.
Remember, get out of jail free card you gave me?
I need it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know. It's just, I think with age, all these, like, the twins are going to drive next year. Are you kidding? Like, the kind of helicopter anxiety I have about that, they don't even have a permit yet.
Yeah.
But what age?
Yeah.
What age did you start this? Also, I feel like your town is a very small, tight-knit town where people are looking after each other. If Nessa's going to her friend's house, along the way, she's passing 4 of your closest friends.
Yeah. Well, not closest friends, but like neighbors. Nilo's gone wandering off to the other side of our development and they'll call and be like, hey, Nilo's in our front yard. We're like, oh, okay, we'll come get him. So it's that kind of thing. But I think it's really important to let these kids figure stuff out on their own. Yeah. Because if you got lost, would you know how to get back home? Mm-hmm. Would you know how to use what you have on you, like your phone or whatever, to get back home or get in touch with someone, So I don't know. I'm not down with helicoptering. I don't know.
I need to get there. I literally need to get there so bad because I'm like, I got high schoolers. Even remember after COVID, I don't think they took a bus for like 2 years. I will drop you and I will pick you up. And then Nina's like, put them on a bus for the love of God.
For the love of God. Okay.
Yeah, I know. And again, this is the anxious parent in me, is I don't want them to feel discomfort. I think that's the end goal.
That's the best feeling that they can feel.
That's what my therapist says too.
That's where they grow, right, Nina?
That's where they grow. Yep.
You learn something.
Those butterflies in your stomach mean you're growing.
I know this, and so I'll stop myself, but the anxiety in me will shoot up because I can't do anything about it. I won't do anything about it, and I want them to go through it. But again, my where are they? What are they doing? Are they okay? It's just constant. But somehow I don't feel that as much with Zuri because I feel like she's this super stubborn, gets what she wants her own way. Yes, loud person.
Feisty.
Yes, but with Dia and Callan, I feel like they're very timid, so they won't stand up for themselves, and that's where I get that's where I feel like I need to step in and help them out. But I'm trying not to.
See, but you don't need to step in and help them out. You need to just guide them with the skills they need to figure it out. That's your own.
Yeah. Like what?
I was gonna say we need to talk about the skills. What are the skills that these guys need?
It's all just social emotional cues, right? So if you get into this situation, let's verbally talk through what you're going to say. And then you let them start with their thought process, not like, okay, this is what you're going to say. You're going to go up to your teacher and you're going to say, excuse me, Miss Smith, I have a question. And then you're going to address on question 2, blah, blah, blah. You're not telling them what to say, what to do, how to approach it. You're like, okay, I'm Miss Smith. What do you want to say? That's it. Let them navigate in their own mind what that conversation looks like. Because if you've already painted a picture, they're going to go approach Miss Smith. And then all of a sudden, the first sentence out of her mouth is not what you practiced at home.
Yeah.
So you have no control. And then they're like, oh, I don't know what to do now because this is not what we rehearsed,
Yeah.
So it's all just, a lot of the things that we have with the girls, which I know I made you guys do with the kids, is like your safety sentence, right? Or your safety text. It's not something that's obvious if a friend grabs their phone and read like, oh, who are you texting? So what's that safety phrase that you can text your parent to get picked up right away or to get out of a sticky situation right away? And then it has to be one of those, I will pick you up, no questions asked. I'm not going to ask you what happened unless you want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? You can't create this fear of, okay, I'm going to ask my mom to pick me up, but then she's going to ask me what happened and I don't want to tell her what happened. So forget it. I'm not going to have her pick me up.
Yeah.
Does that make
Yeah.
sense? So there has to be this balance, but it's all about creating communication networks for them to be able to start what they want to say and how they want to say it versus us telling them. So the us telling them is the helicopter side of it, right? But
Yeah.
the us guiding them is kind of the stand back and let them figure it out way.
Yeah. How do you deal with when they don't want to tell you what happened?
I
Like
say
they're
what
visibly upset, they got into a sticky situation and they don't want to talk about it.
I don't make them talk about it until they're ready. I don't.
What if they're never ready? What if you just never know what happened?
Then just like your
Then I
D,
just
they'll figure it out and move on.
It's true
Oh,
though.
true.
Yeah. Or like, I mean, quite frankly, I do think that they talk to their siblings. You know, like Naya relies a lot on Neva to be a sounding board. And I mean, Naya talks a lot too. She loves talking, but Neva loves listening. So it's like the perfect companionship. But I do think that siblings at some point in time, like we literally call each other, 6 times a day to vent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just a natural course. And like, you know, only children like are Sahil and Amr, and that they'll call us or their friends or their parents. And I think just naturally you find your people that you can vent to if they are not your parents.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Sheena always says, you just got to let it out. Just let it out. And then you'll
Release.
feel better. Release. Release.
Seriously.
Release. I know. I think it does work. Like it just helps your mind calm. I feel like
Absolutely.
instead of it just like going round and round in your head. It's like, okay, it's into the world now. It's the world's problem, not mine anymore.
Yeah. Or Nina's problem and not mine.
9 out of 10 times it's Nina's problem. That was our
Great.
conversation yesterday. I was like, and she's like, "Are you done?" I'm done.
I gotta go.
Now figure it out. I gotta go. I'm sleepy.
Remember that full-time job I just started?
Well, see, that's like the one thing mom gifted me with is short-term memories. Let it all out. I'm not going to remember.
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I
Oh my God,
know.
that's
All
funny.
right. Well, I feel like at the end of the day, we're all just really just doing our best, right? We're trying to figure out what works for our own families, for our own kids. And you can hear us and say, oh, I completely relate to one of us or none of us. But doesn't make you right, doesn't make us wrong. It's just, we're all just here doing our best to parent people who are going to make it out there in the world on their own, which one day they will be. So any final thoughts from either one of you?
I think that it's really important, like I do, to have someone to kind of just bounce feedback and advice off of, because it's really hard to do it on your own. You'll never be able to convince yourself of the right decision or the right path. So I think it's really important to have, whether, like Nina said, a sister, a friend, a sibling, or even if it's a parent or anybody, a therapist, just to bounce these thoughts off of, because it's really hard to just do it on your own, in your own brain.
Yeah.
I think that my thing is just let these kids navigate what this world looks like. Like, trust them. Start with the point of trust and let them break the trust to build it back up, then to start with guilt or shame, and then have them like figure out how to build trust. Because I think if we don't let them believe that they can figure it out, then we're crippling them before they even try. So trust that they'll figure it out, because they will. We all did, and we all are, and they will, and you know, the circle goes on.
100%.
And
What about
if
you?
you guys find yourselves at a loss of who to share this with or who to bounce ideas off of, hey, reach out. We're all here. We're on the Love S&D Instagram. We would love to hear from you guys and hear about what challenges you're facing in terms of wanting to be super involved and micromanaging versus trying to sit back and let the kids deal with their issues themselves. We know it is not easy to let
Parent
go.
to parent.
Yes.
Yeah,
To
period.
parent. Yeah. So reach out anytime. We're here. We're happy to talk. And with that, we will leave you. Make sure you catch us on our next episode. You can always find us on YouTube, where you get to watch our faces while you listen to us, or you can catch us on Spotify and listen to us on your drives or your walks or your runs or wherever you like to listen to Spotify. Thank you for listening. With love, S&D.